Hi, it's Jova and this is video about Thrall Rework from PTR Malthael PATCH. I want to talk about the base kit changes, the talent rework and the builds that I prefer and find strong. So let's talk about the base kit changes. What they did basically is chain lighting cooldown was increased by 1 second, even though the patch note says 8, in-game it's 7, so it's not as bad as it looked like. The second change to it is that they increased the bounce to 3 from 2, but they nerfed the range of the bounces. So now it is harder to get the bounces, right? Because like it's slower range, so people might, like enemies can counterplay it, right, by splitting. So you might not get it anymore that easily as with the old one. So that's a pretty big nerf. And also there's a mana cost increase. So Q got hugely nerfed. Second change is W. W got buff. Now it no longer stops at enemy heroes. It goes through them. And every hero hit like this increase the travel distance by 25%. So this is pretty nice. It could easily be a talent or something, but they made it. They make it to a base ability. And what is nice about it is if you lane or if you fight an objective that has minions, or just if you hit multiple heroes with it, it gives you multiple stacks of Frost Wolf resilience. But especially on lane, if you hit a hero and it goes through minions behind it, then you get a lot of Frost Wolf resilience stacks. Before, you know, if you do it, then it stops on the hero and doesn't follow through, you know. So that's a pretty nice. E was not touched at all. Trait got a pretty big nerf to healing, like 100 or something. So what we can tell about the base kit changes, that's a pretty, like they are a pretty big nerf to Thrall. Thrall is supposed to be like really strong solo laner, and it was a really strong solo laner, but now his poking is nerfed and his sustain is nerfed. Those are like two big things that make a solo laner be strong, right? Together with couple of talent reworks and some talents got also removed, like block on level 1, which was really good on laning, right, versus like Leorix, Greymans, Zeratus, or like ganking Zeratu. So there's also that. Now let's move on to talents, and you have to keep that in mind, right, that his base kit got kinda nerfed. Like the Q is weaker, his sustain is weaker, some of the talents was removed. So if there's a talent that looks really good, you have to keep that in mind, that other stuff got nerfed. So let's see the level 1. Echo of Elements, Crash Lightning and Rolling Thunder. Echo of Elements is a quest talent, kind of like a Season Marksman, but attached to an ability, right? So after you kill minions or heroes with the Chain Lightning or shortly after, you are completing the quest. First reward gives you mana cost reduction, which is nice, but the second one is what makes this talent good. It is giving you a second charge of Chain Lightning, which previously, or like before, was a level 16 talent, right? So now you have it on level 1 quest. That's like pretty good level 1 talent there. Crash Lightning is the second talent. It's also a quest one. In order to complete it, you have to hit at least 2 heroes with 1 Chain Lightning, which is the initial strike and the bounce. Every time you do it, you get 10 damage increase to your bounce damage. Not the initial one, only the bounce damage. And after doing it 20 times, Chain Lightning prioritizes heroes now, the bouncing of it. The thing is, it is not really big, like whatever, you know. The Chain Lightning, you just wanted to have the bouncing going on, so you get your Frost Wolf resilience. You didn't really care if it was hitting heroes or not. You aim your first initial strike, and then, you know, you just want to have the split. You know, overall the split will be harder to get now because they nerfed the bouncing range. But yeah, the other thing about this talent is, like, there's two big downsides to it, right? Firstly, you need to hit 2 heroes, which means you have to be on rotations, right? You're not gonna do it on solo lane. And Thrall is not really a good rotation hero, right? He has CC, yes, but like he has no wave clear, not anything, right? His poking is like 7-second Q that might not even bounce to opponents, right? So he's kinda weak. on the rotations, but this talent pretty much forces you to do so. And even then, even if you're completing it, right, if you do it like 10 times, it's only 100 damage increase to the bounce, so not to the target you aim at, but if it bounces, then it deals 100 more damage, and it is not even equal to the first strike, right? 100 is not making it equal to the damage of the first strike. So firstly, it needs to bounce, and then it's only 100 damage, and it might not even bounce the second time or third time. So how good is that really? With those downside, you have to, you know, find or use on your own, I guess. I really like the Echo of Elements. And then the third one, Rolling Thunder. This is basically the old level 1 talent with addition of the level 4 that was increasing the bouncing number. So what this talent does is that every Q has the potential to proc your Frostwolf Resilience fully, right? Because it is 5 instances of damage, ability damage, which is processing your Frostwolf Resilience. The thing is, if the 30% work for the bounces, then this talent is somehow fine, you know? If it doesn't, then Echo of Elements is just clear winner on this talent here. Let's move to the level 4. Okay, so we have a Feral Resilience, Frostwolf Pack, and Mana Tide. Frostwolf Resilience is the new block talent, and let's talk about block for a little bit here. The old block was 75%, it was recharging pretty fast, right? And it was level 1 talent. This talent requires you to hit your wolf, and it's on 12-second cooldown. If you miss it, you get nothing. And if there's no team fight, you know, and your stacks are gone, you can replenish it, right? You just don't have the block. So like, if it's Ziratu or Nova or whatever, you know, attempting to burst you, you don't have that defense of block, of the old one especially. So this is like, as I said, pretty big nerf to the Thrall in terms of like the block talent. Then plus side of this talent is that it can proc multiple times per cast. So if you hit one hero and the wolf hits another hero, you get 4 stacks of block, you know, up to, you know, like 10, right? Unless there's like Lost Vikings and you hit all of them, you know, then you get like 14, but, you know, how often that's gonna happen, right? So I dislike this talent just because the old block was way stronger. But you might be in a need of this talent sometimes, you never know. The other one is Frostwolf Pack. After hitting 7 heroes, it gives you 50% cooldown reduction and mana cost reduction on your W. If you die before completing this quest, it resets. So this sounds pretty strong, right? Together with the buff to W, it sounds even stronger, right? Because you have short cooldown, you have opportunity to hit, you know, 2 hero every cast for 2 stacks of Frostwolf Resilience every 6 seconds, right? So that sounds strong. The third talent is Mana Tide. Frostwolf Resilience restores 20 mana and reduce basic ability cooldowns by 0.5 second. And this is talent that I really like here. It works really nicely with Echo of Elements, if you complete it especially. And what it does is that every time you proc your passive, cooldown of your basic abilities reduced by 0.5 second, right? But the thing is, it has like a snowball effect to it, right? If you used your W, if you use your like E, W, and you Q, and your Frostwolf Resilience procs, right? You make the cooldown of each ability going down by 0.5, and the sooner you have other ability, the sooner you can proc another Frostwolf Resilience, right? So you can, that's the like snowball effect. Now you do Q, you reduce the cooldown of your Chain Lightning, but also your E, then you E, and you can reduce the cooldown of Q and E again, and you know, it just like snowballs like this. It is not big snowball effect, it's only 0.5 second, but you know, it's still there. And it combos later nicely with other talents. I will talk about it. Level 7, we have Millstorm Weapon, Ancestor Wrath, and Follow Through. So the thing is, this talent here kinda annoys me. Blizzard always does this with, like, usually with level 7 talents. Level 7 talents are the damage talents, you know, with follow through, like some damage to an ability and just basically another damage talent, you know. And usually there's a clear winner. A talent that just provides you the most damage, right? So let's look. Millstone Weapon is Seasoned Marksman attached to an ability. To Millstone Weapon. So every time you attack someone with your E movement speed active, you get 1 attack damage. This talent is at level 7, so you lose 7 levels of, you know, possibly, you know, doing it and increasing your attack damage. Now, how many times you will be able to auto-attack someone with this? You know, if it's Arthas, if it's Muradin, it's not going to be easy. If it's like something like Diva, then yeah, you might get to 4 or maybe 5 attacks. But yeah, you have to use your E for that. I really think this is taking way too long to like get to decent amount of damage. Like getting to the 40 attack damage increase is going to be hard. So you can't really look at it that it gives you 15% basic movement increase, because this will kick really late in, unless, as I said, the opponent's front line is not made out of, you know, the good tanks. Then you might have a chance to like auto attack them a lot while E is on and not get punished that you don't have the E to escape or something. But just look at this, right? On this talent you also have follow through. 362 damage. Applying follow through gives me 140, right? So you will have to have like 40 plus stacks on this talent to outperform single strike with follow through. So yeah, you can already tell what is better, right? This gives you instant power and way more power than this talent gives you before like super late game or something. The second talent on this tier is Ancestral Wrath. It is a talent that activates after you get 8 stack, and you get 1 stack per Frostwolf Resilience proc, right? So in order to get it, you have to proc your passive 8 times. We'll use that Tugu cooldown to get all stacks. So what this talent does, it deals 15% of enemy hero in damage, enemy hero HP in damage over 3 seconds, and then it is killing you for the amount of the damage you dealt to him, increased by 50%. You know. So it's basically like blood for blood. It even has that icon. I guess it will change before this patch gets released, because that's an icon that is already being used for something, and it doesn't really look like Ancestral Wrath, really. It is just basically the blood for blood icon, but yeah. So this is a pretty interesting talent. Let's get damaged a little bit. Obviously, you know, I will get way bigger healing now that I will get from other heroes, because the target Doomy has a lot of HP. Yeah. So as you can see, you apply a pretty decent dot on someone. Each second you get 5% of their maximum HP, and you're being healed for 150% of that damage. So this is like pretty nice additional sustain talent. And this kinda works nicely with the mana tide, right? Because you can use your abilities more often, so you can proc your passive more often, right? And then it also works nicely with the Echo of Elements, because you have like 2 Q stacks that you can use and get more Frostwolf Resilience. So that's the synergy there. Level 10, you know, everyone knows that. Nothing changed on it, so let's move past it. Level 13, we have Old Talent, Grace of Air. It still does the same, just makes you Wind Fury attacks give you 2 stacks instead of 1. Frostwolf Grace was changed a little bit, or I shall say buffed. They changed the cooldown from, I believe, 35 seconds to 15. And they increased the healing, but you know, the healing is pretty much same because they nerfed the healing. So yeah, the only buff is the cooldown reduction. It's not really that much, you know. But it's a decent heal on pretty short cooldown. But the third one is Spirit Shield. This is not a spell shield that you can toggle, right? Oh wait, you actually can toggle it off. Okay, so that makes it nice. Because I thought it's something that just is there and you can get cooldown reduction on it. Okay, so that's good. He still has a spell shield that gets cooldown reduction each time you proc your passive. So that's really nice. You know, solid talent if you need against bursts, against like Zeratul setups from VP, you know, against like spell Lemmings or something. So that's a good talent. But let's talk about the Frostwolf Grace and Grace of Air, right? So this one is a sustain that you don't have to do anything for, right? You just click it every 15 seconds. So it is decent, right? Grace of Air though has better potential, right? Especially combined with the 16 Tempest Fury. Plus, it is giving you Frostwolf Resilience stacks, which is also pretty big, right? Because it combos with Mana Tide and it helps you get the Ancestral Wrath back easier. So let's see how much healings it gives, right? It is proccing my passive twice because I had some abilities used before, so I had some stacks, right? But together with 16, it always gives you 2 stacks of Frostwolf Resilience. And if you can get 2, then you get more healing that the Frostwolf Grace would give you, right? And it's on pretty much same cooldown, right? 12, 15. But also on 20, you get a talent that gives you Wind Fury, which will give you 2 stacks of Frostwolf Resilience and give you Ancestral Wrath, right? So there's that. You know, if you can't easily get to auto-attack someone with E, then Frostwolf Resilience is better for sustain if you don't need a spell shield. So that's a pretty decent talent here. You have a lot of options there. Moving on to level 16. As I already talked about, Tempest Fury works really nicely with the Grace of Air. But that's pretty much the old talent. There's the nerf to it, right? Because the old Thrall at 13 had a Giant Killer, and the Giant Killer worked really nicely with this one. Sadly, you don't have the talent anymore. But this talent is still decent, I mean still good. And probably the best on this tier. And it has that synergy, you know, with the Grace of Air and with every other talent there, just because of that. Second talent, Thunderstorm, is a quest talent. Casting Chain Lightning on an enemy hero, I will get one here, makes them, slows them for 8 up to 40%. And once you complete it, once you get to the 40% slow, your Chain Lightning damage is increased by 25. But I think it also only applies to the initial damage, but I might be wrong. But basically how this talent works, right? And what is important also is, every time you do it twice on the same person, all progress resets. This talent is never getting complete. If you get to 40 bonus, you can still lose it if you die or use it twice on the same hero. So I will show you how it works, right? It is basically like the Lemmings level 20 talent. You have to shuffle your spells in right order to get further increase in ability power, right? So if you hit someone, you slow him for 8%, and your next hero you hit with lightning will get slowed even more, and it goes like that all the time. There's a visual added, so if someone has that blue Feeny flying around, it means that if you hit him again, you will reset your quest. So that's nice addition. We need to wait for Alarak now. So you see, now Alarak has that, and I can again use it back on the previous target. And then I can get back on Alarak again, and I slow him, you know, for 32, then I go back on the target to me, and I have my quest completed now. Now, my Child Lightning deals more damage by 25. It is not being applied to the bounce damage, it is only the initial damage. So now, once you complete it, or like basically from the start, you want to, you know, shuffle the targets of your queue, right? You always want to hit other hero, not the same one twice. It is pretty strong, because I believe the slow, yeah, the slow is applied also to the bouncing strikes. So that's a pretty big slow, considering that you can get Echo of Elements and 2 churches, then you can slow enemy heroes for quite a lot. And quite a long time. They didn't say how much time it lasts. I guess it lasts as long as the bouncing happens, right? The last bouncing is probably the end of the slow. But yeah. So this talent is interesting, you know. Works really nicely with the Echo of Elements. And the third talent is Alpha Wolf. It's Thrall version, neutral version of Giant Killer, I guess. How does it work is that you need to hit your Feral Spirit, and your attacks against that rooted target for 3 seconds will deal 3% of their maximum HP. So it's basically like Executioner. If you hit someone, you get like auto attack damage increased for some time, you know. This is once you hit someone with Feral Spirit, you get a 3 second of your attacks dealing 3% of their maximum HP to them, to that target that was hit by it. And there's a passive effect to it that makes the root last longer, so you have easier time using those auto attacks, right? So let's see. As you can see, there's the Giant Killer damage. I believe it only works on the hero you hit, right? It says something like that. Yeah. So obviously it combos nicely with the level 4 talent, because you have a lower cooldown on it, you have longer duration on it, and nice effect attached to it, nice bursting effect attached to it, right? Okay, and then you have level 20 talents. Warbreaker got changed. Now it lowers the cooldown of Sundering. Oh, this is really interesting. It lowers it by a lot. It's 15 seconds when you pick it. But the other part is they removed the ability of it to go, you know, endlessly. Now instead it is making a barrier, I guess, like blocking unit as they call it. You can see it here, right? So your Sundering effect lasts there and blocks the pathing, right? You can walk through it, teammates can walk through it, opponents can walk through it. This is pretty interesting and really strong potentially, you know. Sadly, it is not something that you can use like the Tyrael's Q to steal bosses, you know, because you still can walk past it. So you can't really secure boss with it. But on maps like Infernal Shrines or something, where there's like small corridors like here, right? You just block whole entrance for 3 seconds, not to mention that you deal a lot of damage and you stun opponent heroes. So if there's an Infernal Shrine fight, you fight here and there's some people there, you can just, you know, block them off for 3 seconds, stun the healer or someone from, you know, healing, and just deal with the heroes here. Plus, it's additional CC, because not only they are blocked for 3 seconds, but then they have to, you know, go through that distance, right? So this is finally a good level 20 upgrade. I like that on some heroes they're making changes to the level 20s, so they are actually useful, you know, and pickable. That's a really nice talent. The other change is to Blink. Now it has smaller range, but it's still decently big. You will need to get used to it, because like, you know, you might remember the old range or something and you might end up blinking into a wall because it's smaller range. But okay, what is this talent doing now? Apart from having lower range. Once you use it, it applies a Wind Fury. So you blink, you get movement speed, and you get, you know, the attack speed increase. But you also get the talents from it, you know. So if you have Wind Fury talent on 13 and Wind Fury talent on 16, you get that too after the blink. That's pretty big. Okay, so that will be it for the talent talk, and now I would like to show you the two talent builds that I prefer. So the first one is sustain themed, you know, you pick all the talents that give you sustain, and I really like this build actually because it has connection from level 1 to 20, like everything works together really well. So what do you have? You go with Echo of Elements at level 1, Mana Tide at level 4, Ancestral Wrath at level 7, Earthquake at level 10, Grace of Air at 13, Tempest Fury at 16, and at 20 you can adjust. You can either get the Earthen Shield if they don't have a disengage from it, and if it's like, you know, like Infernal Shrine for example, right, that can be really good there. If you don't find it valuable, like, or like, I mean, if you don't find it having any, you know, value for your team, then you just go for Wind Rush, which, you know, as I said, works really nice with the level 13 and 16, and basically everything else because of that. So why I said I really like this talent here and why it works together really well. So if you look at it, Mana Tide, every time you get Frostwolf Resilience, gives you mana back and reduce the cooldown of your basic abilities. Ancestral Wrath, in order to stack it, you need to be proccing your Frostwolf Resilience. Your Q have 2 charges. Your Earthquake damage, you know, the AoE damage is, you know, also giving you stacks, right? Like multiple stacks, because it hits like multiple heroes most of the time. Grace of Air is giving you double stack per attack on Wind Fury, and at 16 your last strike of Wind Fury strikes 3 times, so it's just like 6 stacks, right? And then your 20 also, you know, gives you that. So you can really fastly replenish your Ancestral Wrath. You proc a lot of Frostwolf Resiliences, and you're reducing cooldown of all your abilities, so you can use them again. So that's high sustain build, basically, right? I can try to show you something on the Lost Vikings, I guess, how it works. Okay. So as you can see, I replenished my Ancestral Fury basically. Ancestral Wrath out of those 3 heroes. And I get a lot of healing. I can damage myself on purpose. So we start with lower HP. Sadly the Vikings like to die. Okay, I have no stacks. Let's see. Six stacks. You know, I have my spells back. I get a lot of healing. I wasn't really paying attention to how many. Actually, we can tell how many procs we got, right? It was like 6 procs of Frostwolf Resilience during 1 rotations of spells. So we got the healing 6 times, we got the mana and cooldown reduction 6 times, right? So that's pretty sick, I would say. So that's the sustain build. Not to mention that I could also use the blink and get 2 additional stacks just from the E. Right, as you can see, it gives you 2 additional stacks. So I could basically get 2 Ancestral Raft out of team fight against 3 opponents. If there's like 4 opponents being hit by Earthquake, obviously you get like a couple of more stacks, like 3 more stacks, up to 3 more stacks. So that's the heavy sustain build. And the other one, that's what I like, you know? You have that one clear and working together really nicely sustain build, and then you have what I call burst build. The burst build still have the echo of elements, because at the moment this talent is just the best on level 1. On level 4 you get the Frostwolf pack. 7 you get follow through, although you can go Ancestral Raft too. You know, you will have a harder time, you know, completing it or like, you know, stacking it, but you can just always go on minion wave or like easy camp or something and do it. But for best build, I just, you know, recommend the follow through. You get Sundering, and you know, at 13 you adjust whatever you feel like you need, you know, Spell Shield or Frostwolf Grace, whatever. Let's say, you know, the Frostwolf Grace, but it very well might be a Spell Shield. At 16 you get the Alpha Wolf, and at 20 you get whatever is needed. Either the Wallbreaker might be good on some maps, or the Blink. If you consider picking Blink, you might look into getting Tempest Fury, you know, but not necessarily, you know. It is Blink after all, so you don't really need that 16, right? So there's also synergy in this talent, obviously, between level 4 and level 16. Plus you have the best talent at level 7 and 10, of course together with the 16, right? So that's what I call the best one. We can see how much damage it actually deals. Let's see. Let's do it with Blink, I guess. Oh. Unlucky. The target Doomy decide to reposition. Okay. 4k damage, let's say. Let's see from close distance, I guess. It's like 3k 400 in best, I guess we can say. So yeah, that's the best build. So that will be pretty much it for this video. We have to toy around with Thrall on PTR, and once he hit live servers a little bit more to tell whether the like basic kit nerfs were too big or like fine, if the talent changes are making him good or not. Like one thing for sure, like people will play him in Hero League now because, you know, huge talent rework, and that's what make people just test heroes. I don't think Thrall is bad at the moment. I think he's just hugely underrated. There are heroes in the meta that pop out and make the Thrall slightly worse, you know, like Arthas was like pretty big reason for it, but Thrall has really decent damage, really good laning, really good poking on the old one, right? But people are just for some reason not picking it, they forgot about it. And with this rework, even though it might be a nerf to Thrall, people will just pick it. But yeah, that's the two talent builds I prefer. I find it really interesting that they make such clear two talent tiers when everything works with everything else really nicely. But yeah, thanks for watching.